scared to die. So when the guys up today that's wearing these shades and coming up in these tags and acting like they tough, that time is gone. Yeah, you might have a little isolated incident here and there where guys shoot, but it ain't nothing like it was back then. Drive by shoot every all from the morning night, da 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 pow 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 da 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 pow 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 all day long, all day, every day. Every day in Skidrow, at least, I say, from 7 to 10 murders around the city of Los Angeles. I won't say it's just between Hollywood and here, every day, mostly all day long. All week. In a week, you'd have about 15, 20 murders, 30 murders. And that's the history of Skid Row. And these guys ride up talking about they might have came up in a poverty hard time, but we might have came up, our parents didn't have a lot of money or something like that, or you had no parents, or you might have been abused a little bit about your mother and father, or you might have been molested. But it was nothing like coming out here in Skid Row. How you gonna have 30 guys on the corner drinking and doing drugs, and all 30 of them got a gun or a knife in their waistband? Big blade. It's an invitation for death. All y'all drinking, and we all got guns? I got stabbed right here in Hollywood by a white boy named Dutch. We was fighting over a white girl named Lorraine, who was carrying my baby. I never had children after that. Dutch and them caught my girl one night and held her down and beat her stomach to make sure that baby didn't come to the world. So we had been looking for each other. I don't guess he was looking for me, but he wasn't going to run from me. I was looking for him because of my baby, and caught him in front of a place called Shakey's Pizza. He had 5 or 6 of his homeboys with him. I had 5 or 6 of my homeboys with me. And I told him, let's do it mano to mano. Kill each other hand by hand. Be one of his death. So he agreed with that, but then he had a screwdriver in his hand. My buddy told me, he said he got a screwdriver. When he said that, another one of his homeboys came out forward, and then my homeboy, he hit me in the throat with a screwdriver. And my screwdriver was stuck in my chest because if I'd have pulled it out, the blood would have been known. I could have lost a lot of blood. So I kept the screwdriver in there like this here and kept fighting him. Right, so the police was all out there. They might call the police. I think we blackened each other's eyes a little bit and wanted to do more. I got the worst in the deal because the screwdriver was still in my chest. And when the police got there, the screwdriver was in my chest. He grabbed the end of it and shook it like that, and he said, "That hurt?" I said, "It hurt." Like that there. And I said, "I'm leaving, man." He said, "You ain't going nowhere." Like that there. And he said, "You're not going nowhere." I went to walk away, the police jumped me. I say, "You ain't going nowhere but to jail if you don't sit your ass down. You're not going nowhere. He's called an ambulance for you. And you got to tell us what happened." He said, "You going to talk to us." And I say, "No, I'm not." Like that there, because you couldn't be no snitch. You go to county jail. And so they called the ambulance. They took me to the hospital, removed the screwdriver out lightly, or they cut it around or something. However they got it, I forget. They removed the screwdriver lightly. Well, it'd be a little painful, but it wouldn't be as much pain. And speaking of the county jail, now these Skid Row was bad, but when you went to the jailhouse for being busted for murder, it even got worse because the county jail was so full. The old county, they were putting 5 and 6 and 7 guys in those tanks. And if you was not worthy of being in that tank, they were going to try you as soon as you walked into that. This is the county, this ain't even a prison. When you walked in that cell, if you wasn't worthy of eating, you did not eat. We took your food. If you wasn't worthy of keeping people off of you like a female, they took your butt. And this cell is very small. So 6 or 7 people in there, when you fighting one, others watching, ain't no deputy around. They way out the other end. So you can haul a deputy and all that. Ain't nobody going to hear you. So when you fighting this guy in this cell, if you got tired, they fucked you. If you lost, they fucked you. Ain't nobody to break up the fight. The deputy ain't coming down here. And if you try to back up and say, I don't want no more, then you got time for you to be a girl. Or keep fighting. They're gonna beat you to death in that cell if you don't fight, you gonna have sex. And even before that, when you went to prison, these gangbangers that came up in Skid Row, they put all the bangers on one yard because they couldn't have, the prison was only so big. So now you got the Mother Bills, the Bloods and the Crips, and the prison on the same yard. The same people that saw each other in Skid Row was trying to kill each other. Now they on the yard killing. Until they had to bring that down till the federal government went in there and say it won't be no more of this. You got too many deaths in this prison. And they started separating the Bloods and the Crips. They had to separate them and the Mexican gangs, some of them, because they was killing all over. And the prisons were more deadly than the street. Because once these guys got life, I knew they wasn't never giving out no more. They didn't give a damn unless they got the death penalty. And when you kill somebody in there, if you didn't get the death penalty, they look at you when you went to court and say, "What, you gonna give me another life sentence?" and laugh. And sometimes the judge would call them by surprise when they laugh and say, "No, we gave you 3 life sentences already. But what are you gonna do to me now? We're gonna send you to the death penalty and kill you out long." And then only then when his face gets serious. "Oh, you gonna put me on death row?" Now, of course. You done this and you keep talking crazy. Damn boy named Larry Kimball. We walked in the county jail. He asked me to do a burglary one night, and I wouldn't go with him. He went to do the burglary. So I wake up the next morning, call his house, get in touch with him. I got to get in touch with him. His sister answered the phone. I say, "Where Larry at? Let me out at Larry." He said, "Who?" I say, at this time, this was another nickname. He called me Little D. My name was Little D at that time. I was real short and small, but real stocky and big in the shoulder. And so I say, "It's Little D. Where Larry? Let me out at Larry." She say, "Larry ain't here." I say, "What, he been out all night?" He say, "No, you ain't heard." I say, "Heard what?" He said, "Larry got busted and went to county jail last night." And that's when I thought about the burglar. I said, "God damn it, he did that." I said, "Okay, all right, I'll be in touch with you soon." And so I hung the phone up. They had me, and at this time, all of us was getting big time. Larry, Frankie Jones, Michael Mack, and me. Yeah, Larry, Frankie Jones, Michael Mack, and me. When Larry go to trial, he come back crying. He say, "When I'm in a pinch for time, 154 years. 154 years for a burglary?" He said, "Yeah, because I wouldn't take the 10. I went to trial, they gave me 154 years. So he say, we say, all of us, when Larry started crying, all of us sit on the bunk and start crying. We ain't getting out no more. Because we had cases better than burglary. I was in there for a manslaughter. Motherfucking Frankie Jones in there for triple robberies. And Michael Mack was in there. I think he was in there on a manslaughter or murder or something too. If I remember right, all of us know we got them big cases. This man had a burglary and got 100. So we all sit on the bus and start crying. We say, "Shit." And every one of us got time. Unfortunately for Frankie Jones, he died in there. He got in the fight and got stuck in there. From what I know of Michael Mack, he's still there to this day. He's been there about 40 years, 50 years. I got out after 22 years. And so from what I know about Larry, I haven't heard nothing in years once I left the prison. But as far as I know, with the 154, he's still placed there too. Hoover Jack, Skillet, all them still there. So when people come into Skid Row, and we can tell it however we want to tell it, you will never get the graphics of it unless you were there to see this. Because this was something that was so treacherous and nasty, the way they would kill these people. I seen dudes get hit on their collarbone with a machete, and it'd go right into their meat, and like it's something you would see in a movie or something, you know, and then the dude pull up and try to get ready and keep hitting him in the face and head and everything. And the police, 5 or 6 police got killed. One time they was chasing the guy in front of L.A. Mission, And this is when the Los Angeles mission was supposedly being built. The police turned the corner, chasing somebody, and ran to this big, huge hole in the middle of this ditch and killed them both. One of them got killed behind the L.A. mission many years ago. The other one got killed down off of Los Angeles somewhere right beyond the Misery House. There was a police officer, they caught him back there and shot him up because he was such a vicious man. And now remember, the police were gangbangers too. Even though they were the police, the guys they was hiring to come up in Skid Row were these guys with Marines, big old, they come out of Marine Corps, country boys out of the woods, carrying big old tobacco and they inside them out spit, tattoos all up and down their arms, badasses. Real badasses, you know? And these motherfuckers would come out there, and the folks like Cap Meach would look at me, he say, you again, huh, stranger? He say, he spit that tobacco, take him on to the county jail. And that's how deep his voice was. He say, we'll deal with him later. This is not over. Let's go. And they would take one of you and take me to county jail and walk deep in the Skid Row and cock them little riot pumps and shit and say, and my own blood's from a well on a building. I hear my shit, don't come here, copper, we'll kill you. Police hollered back, we didn't come to live. We came to die. And before you know it, that chopper be coming up from behind on the other side like this here with that motherfucking long-ass gun to sit out the side. Bullets that long hit your body and knock half of it off like you was something in Beirut or something. They have bullets that long, knock half your body off. And they wouldn't shoot to kill at first. They shoot you and knock half your take one of your legs from you, feel that pain. Bust you in the shoulder and take half of your body from you and feel the pain. And then look at you and say, you want to quit now? Or do we keep fighting? Have you had enough? Like that there. And they would bring some of the guns we had never seen in our life in this blood man. And then the federal government took over and declared war on Skid Row. There will be no more baby raping. There will be no more kids getting raped, no more killing every day, killing police officers and all that. And so the history of Skid Row, remember, was a playground for I say it again, for the baddest of the baddest. And people from all over the United States, LA, from all over the United States will come with them big names, them badass names to come up in Skid Row and prove themselves. Now, some of them didn't die, and went to prison for the rest of their life, and a lot of them died. Because you can't win them all, no matter how bad you are. Somebody, you got another one the next day. Somebody want to take that reputation. You know, they want to be the king of Skid Row. So, even if you didn't lose your life, one way or another, you lost it. Because you wasn't going to be here. You was either in prison for life for being such a badass, killing so many people, or you died. And the drugs was commendable. And it was like something like out of Spider-Man book, the Kingpin. Everybody wanted to be the Kingpin of Skid Row. And the GR office, the General Relief office, almost forgot, was the most dangerous place you could go. Because now they give you food stamps and money. But if you went to GR office back then, this is where all the gangbangers hung at. Because as soon as you got your food stamps, if you was a nothing person, no gang or nothing, they took those food stamps or your money. They took that GR check or your voucher. Because back then they used to give vouchers for a motel. You can go, they would give you a voucher to go in a motel and stay for a week. And give you a voucher to eat at some of the finest restaurants all around the city. And you would get restaurant service like you weren't paying for it on these vouchers. But then people, when they see you with these vouchers, they would ask, can they come to your room and sleep tonight? Or can they have some of your food? If you didn't give it, they took it. They would force their way in your room. You know, I'm staying here. You take your whole voucher and give it to the hotel manager, say, it's my voucher. Take your room. It's like that there. They take your room and your food. And if you couldn't get high back then, because as soon as you took a hit, if you sat down and take a hit, somebody would come across you when they know you get spooked on the crack. They come across you as hard as they could with their fists or a pipe, and bam! Try to knock your brains out. Or when you see them walk up on you, get spooked, you sitting there hitting, and they be scared, they reach down and grab it, what they wanted from you, because they know you were scared and couldn't move. If you said something or try to stop, that's when they knock your brains out. Well, if they thought they could scare you and you wouldn't move, you was high, and you'd be looking, they just reach down and grab your shit and turn and walk away and leave you there. So my point was this: any story you have heard of Skid Row will never live up to what I have seen. Because we can tell you 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times. And you can get guys from all over the city to tell you these stories. But unless you were there to see this, you would never believe the graphics of it. It was treacherous. And Skid Row was one of the most dangerous places I had ever been in my life. And when I say that, you got to remember, anybody that's been to Houston back in the 70s or the 80s, they had a theater called the Majestic Theater downtown, where they were killing like a motherfucker in Houston, Texas. But it was never tough as L.A. In Louisiana, that was what they say, that was one of the murder capitals of the United States. But it was never tough as Skid Row. And I was in jail in Louisiana, House of D, where they did some of the same type of thing they did in L.A. You had to fight for your food. But I went through Pt2 Green in Chicago, just a youngster. Tyler, I was probably about 10, 15 years old then, or somewhere between 10 and like I seen in Skid Row. These guys had AK-47s, Uzis, and they would stand in the middle of the street and do their business right there. Broad daylight, night, day, it didn't matter, you know. And the police, they wasn't on the take, they would try to take them down. And some of them would get took down, but like I say, then they would bring it in. And the ones that was on the take would turn their blind eye to it. It was like bad Leroy Bounds. Some of the toughest of the tough died. Got beat down, got fucked up. And they won a few when they came up in here. But then none of them last very long. Because all of a sudden, every time you get in a fight, you make a mistake. Look somewhere else. Forget to do something. And once you look somewhere else and forget to do that, the person you fighting against capitalizes on the opportunity to hit you across the face with a knife, stab you, or shoot you down or something. You know?